Stay tuned and let's take a look at this Marvel Legends, Marvel Studios The Infinity Saga, Iron Man Mark III. Pow and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. And remember, you can now hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Quite simply show some love or join the members club. Much, much appreciated. Today, we are taking a look at the Marvel Legends, Marvel Studios, The Infinity Saga, Iron Man Mark III. And if you watch this channel, then you know I love me some MCU figures. It's what reignited my love for Marvel and collecting, and my current display is built on the MCU. And I loved what Hasbro did a few years ago with that Marvel Studios 10th anniversary line, as it gave them an excuse to revisit and give us characters we were missing in our collection. And the Infinity Saga line is going to do exactly that. I'm looking forward to all 10 sets, as it's going to fill some much needed gaps in our MCU shelves and also give us some upgrades. Today we have one of those upgrades, which is of course Iron Man Mark III. It just happens to be the first one I got my hands on, and I want to send a massive, massive thank you to ZG Toys. So that's www.zg-toys.co.uk, or you can follow them on Instagram. I'll put the links on the screen and in the description below. They're a brand new store that specialise in Star Wars Black Series, and of course they're getting now into Marvel Legends. That is why I hit up their DMs, and I want to send a massive thank you to getting this out to me so quickly. So much appreciated. Go and follow them, check them out in the description below. But yeah, I am excited about Iron Man. As you know, he's one of my favourite characters. I love Tony Stark. I love what Robert Downey Jr. did in the MCU. So I'm always happy to add upgrades to my haul of armour. And stay tuned, because I will show you my haul of armour at the end of this video. So first of all, this is my first in-hand look at the packaging. Infinity Saga on the front, a few little speckles from in space. We get Iron Man at the top because this figure is from the Iron Man movie. Spin it around to the side and we getting some nice graphics from characters within the Infinity Saga there. On the back, we get the Iron Man movie. Again, this figure is from that film. Same on this side, more pictures of the characters. But I do want to pay attention to this little write-up that reads: Tony Stark takes on the world's worst villains in this Mark III suit, a technological wonder equipped with a variety of stunning enhancements and upgrades. Of course, that's why we love Tony Stark. So yeah, the packaging is very nice, people. Again, Iron Man Mark III on the top, all the scribble at the bottom with the barcode if you want it. There it is. But I don't think this is particularly exclusive to anywhere, maybe just fan channels, or maybe you'll find it in stores. We won't in the UK, unfortunately, so thanks, we have the internet. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. So without further ado, people, let's get them open. And don't worry, I've got lots of Iron Man. We're going to do lots of comparisons. So here we have Tony out of the packaging with all of his accessories on the table, including a set of interchangeable hands, interchangeable head, and all three of these pieces here are interchangeable parts for his wrist gauntlet, and I'll show you that in a minute. But just first impressions overall, really like how aesthetically he looks. No pins on this figure at all. The sculpt is very nice. I like the candy chrome red with the golds, and that face sculpt, the promo images are not doing it justice. So let's zoom in and show you that. So hopefully my camera is doing that justice, because in person, people, it is very nice. Hasbro again are using that 3D digital face printing tech that we love so much on these MCU figures, and they have to remember that it is Robert Downey Jr.'s head squashed inside an Iron Man helmet. But honestly, from certain angles, it is very nice. I don't think the likeness is perfect, but I definitely see him there in certain instances. And yeah, I like the faceplate as well, just slightly higher than the face, but you can still see the features in there. Very nice, and so much better compared to anything we've had in the past. Let me just show you that old head sculpt that we had with the faceplate up. Let me just rest it on his shoulder. Look at that. That is what we used to have compared to now. So yeah, massive difference. That's how much Legends have changed over the past few years. And yeah, game changer. But of course, if you don't want the faceplate up and seeing the head under there, well, of course, we can switch it out and go full on I am Iron Man. So yeah, really like this. Love the golds, love the reds. I love the sculpt of this head as well. I think it is perfect. Definitely giving me original Iron Man vibes there from the very first film. And the head is on a ball joint as well. And it's a dumbbell joint. So there's a rocker, two ball joints, one at the bottom, one on the neck. So lots of movement and a room for range. You can get the head looking up. You can bury the chin so very well. Lots of tilt, like so much tilt. So yeah, lots of range on the head. He can go full exorcist. But yeah, hopefully when we get him in a flying pose, we can get it to work. But lots of range on the head, more than usual. But yeah, both heads are really good, just depending on how you want to display him. But if you want to go full on Iron Man, then you cannot go wrong with that. Before we take a look at just the figure in general, I do want to point out the arm. So as I said, the 3 interchangeable pieces are all attachments for this arm. As you can see, there's a hole there and it gives you options. So our 3 options are... The first one is sort of like a control panel that we see him use in the first film. So this one is very nice. This is the biggest attachment, so you can get him displayed up, posed with this if you like. This one's my favourite attachment, as it is the rockets inside the forearm that we see him use in the movie as well. So this one's going to be great for posing your figure up. Literally get the rockets on the arm like that. We haven't had any accessories like this on a Marvel Legend before, I don't think. And yeah, they're going to work out very, very nicely. And again, these just peg in and peg out, as you can see. So simple. The last one is just basically a replacement, so he's not got a big hole in his arm. So let me spin that on. There you go. So there you go. There's the last one. It just basically covers up the hole. So if you don't want any sort of attachments, just want a normal Iron Man, you can do that. And that sort of sits on there nice and flush, seamlessly, just like the other side. So the other side doesn't come off at all. There's no peg. This one's attached. And you can see this one's so flush. Doesn't look like this one comes off either. But of course, it will come off. There you go. Reveals the hole. So you have options. Taking a look at the rest of the figure, the art reactor in the middle is just sort of painted white, but it has got a blue trim and it is sort of sculpted in there a little bit. So it definitely has a little bit of detail in there. All this sculpt work on the chest is very nice as well. And it has sort of a metallic finish to it. Now, some people don't like the marbling effect. I don't mind it, especially when the plastic is meant to be representing a metal. So it doesn't bother me at all, but I can see some people maybe complaining there. But still, the sculpt work is very, very nice. And you can see that ab, there's just no ab crunch as such, but he does rock back and forth. Forward, not so much, but back much more, which is good for flying poses. But he's got some sort of screws up in here. That screw seems to be a little bit more dirty, but I guess that's battle damage. I'm fine with that. So those screws are painted black, bit more mechanic there under the neck. Looking down at the arm that we've already seen, spin it around on the back, more sculpt work. Again, some more screws up there at the top of the neck, which I'm absolutely fine with, all the way down to the back of the legs. And as you can see, people, no pins on the arms. I always forget to mention this, but it's such a good improvement aesthetically to a figure on the shelf. No pins on the arms, no pins on the legs. That looks like a pin, but it's actually the design of the Iron Man. And let me just show you how good the articulation is while we're here on the legs, okay? Double jointed knees. Look at that. All the way. So the 2 hands on the figure already are both fisted, but we do get a set of interchangeable repulsor blasting hands. Now these are good, but a little bit frustrating as there's no peg hole in there, which I'm fine with, by the way. That doesn't bother me, but you can't peg anything in any previous accessories or blast effects that you have. But I'm fine. For these MCU figures, I don't need to. I'd rather it look like this. That's fine. But there is no sort of hinge in there at all. So this piece is attached to the hand, so that's not going to snap off. But there's no hinge. And I know people like the option to sort of hinge up and down, especially when you get them in flying poses. So there's no hinge in there at all. That is sort of sculpted in that one position like that. So it will work, obviously, for repulsor blasts. That's absolutely fine. And also for flying, there is some sculpted detail in the palm as well, which is nice. But if I zoom out a little bit, you can see how you can get it to work for flying, which we see him practice flying in the film, of course. So that works out pretty well, but it works out better for repulsor blasts. And the articulation is decent as well, which I'll get into in a second. But yeah, you can get this guy in some nice poses, but you're not going to get any blast effects plugged in there. So I'm curious, what do you think about that? Would you rather there be a gaping hole, or do you prefer that it's sculpted in there and painted white? I like it. And it's worth mentioning, unlike the open palm hands, the fisted hands do have a hinge, but you can't really do much with it. But there is a hinge for the wrists. Of course, people are interested how this guy moves, so let's check out the articulation. So the arms will go past 90 here at the top because the shoulder pads are a separate piece. So hopefully the camera focuses and you can see that they are attached to the top of the arm. So if I wanted to swivel the arm all the way around, the shoulder pads will swivel with it, if that makes sense. So that is very nice, no hindering on the shoulders. The sculpt sort of lies over. And underneath there, you can see that the bicep is the swivel. So the top of the bicep is the swivel there on the arm. It looks like there should be a cut here on the sort of gloves, but that's just part of the sculpt work. The only swivel on the arm is right at the top, right there. The double jointed elbows though are very nice. Iron Man can be flexing on you, no problem at all. That works out, and I like how the sort of sculpt looks like all mechanical parts for the articulation, so that works out very nicely. Both arms, no problem at all. Of course, I've already showed you the diaphragm joint, gives you a little bit back, a little bit forward. Nothing amazing. You can get the rotation at there as well, but no rotation at the waist. Their legs are a little bit interesting because they are drop down legs, so as you can see there, they're dropping down, which gives you a bit more extra motion, especially when you want to kick him out. Let me zoom out and you can see what I mean. So the legs will go out about that much, which isn't bad at all for an Iron Man figure, and legs go forward a lot more, especially thanks to that drop down. So the drop down will get your legs that far forward, which is plenty, and again back a little bit as well, to be fair. Knees, I've already showed you a double jointed, like, look at this, people, you can roll him up into a ball. So perfect, really good there. He can kick himself in the arse all day long, no problem. The swivel, sorry, is at the top of the leg, obviously hidden within the sort of sculpt work of the Iron Man armor, so that's very nice. Swivel right at the top there, not a problem at all. Still a serial number there on the inside of the legs, not a problem though, I can't see it. Feet, there is obviously a hinge, swivel, ankle pivot, all that good stuff. So there's the hinge up and down, and then the ankle pivot is there. Hindered a little bit by, obviously, the sculpt of the Iron Man armor, but you can still utilize it. As you can see, there it is, peg at the bottom of the feet as well with the treads. But overall, people, aesthetically, this is a great looking Iron Man figure. As I said, completely pinless. You're going to be able to get him in the poses you want to get him in. And yeah, just looks really good. I like the colors as well. We've got options with the interchangeable heads, and the accessories make for a nice difference. I would much rather have this accessory as a real blaster from the movie than having a fake sort of translucent piece to stick in the arm. So I actually prefer the sort of more realism options they've went for. And get them in a flying pose, because I know people are curious about that. The arms are pretty sturdy, as like you can feel them click when you move them. Legs go up, he gets back, tilt a little bit. So if you want him in a flying pose, get him on a flight stand, the head will go pretty far forward. I think you can make it happen. I think that works out pretty well for a flying Iron Man. So yeah, you let me know what you think, but I think overall the articulation on this guy is great. Now let's get into some comparisons, and with the amount of Iron Man figures I have, I could be here all day. Instead, I'm just going to compare him to the most requested versions of Iron Man that I had on my Instagram. So the first one was most obviously the Iron Man Mark 7, as this is probably the best Iron Man Marvel Legend figure we've got from the MCU so far. So I wanted to see how these two sort of paired up together. So obviously the designs are a little bit different, but still clearly Iron Man. This one's got a bit more silver, and the gold's a lot more subtle compared to the gold here on the Mark III. And the Mark III does have a lot more detail in his arc reactor with the sort of blue tint to it compared to just the sort of white sticker it looks like on the Mark VII. Someone did ask me to check if this new head plate worked on the Mark VII, so let's try that. So for anyone curious, yes, the new faceplate up head does pop onto the Mark VII, but it is a little bit high on the neck. Maybe you could get it to work from certain angles, but I think face on, his neck looks a little bit too lanky for my liking. But the head does pop on there, and you might be able to get it to work. So here we have the Mark III compared to the Mark 46 and the Mark 50 from Infinity War, and as you can see, they are all completely different in regards to stylistically and even the tones of colour. Yes, they're all gold and red, so they're Iron Man, but they are slightly different in tones. I also think the Mark III is taller compared to all of them, but I do think that's because he's the most sort of articulated and engineered and sculpted nicely. The other is a little bit more bland in regards to sculpt work. The Mark 50 tone is a little bit sort of subtler as well, and you can definitely see more marbling in the Mark 50. But as I said, all of them are still clearly Iron Man. They will all find a place in my Hall of Armour. But yeah, the Mark III so far is standing out as the best armour we have. Here we have the Mark III compared to the Mark 85. So this is basically how the first film ended and how the last film ended in the Infinity Saga. So we will be getting a brand new Mark 85 armor in the Thanos 2-pack in this Infinity Saga line, which I'm very excited about. So hopefully they've made some upgrades and changes. I know we're getting new head sculpts, which I like as well. So yeah, we will get a new upgraded Mark 85 very soon. But so far, this Mark III is definitely standing out amongst the rest of the armors. Again, it's completely pinless. The colours just seem perfect and just screams Iron Man. But yeah, this is very nice. Here we have the Mark III compared to Tony Stark that we got in the Marvel 10 years anniversary line. He was packed in a 2-pack with Ironmonger. So you can see he's a lot shorter than the Mark III, but you can imagine Iron Man obviously is Tony Stark in a suit of armor. So it's obviously got to be a little bit chunkier as it's got to fit around the body. So I don't mind him being a little bit shorter. Maybe it is a tad too tall, obviously, but still, you can make it work for a display as such, depending on what you've got going on. People are going to ask if that head works on here. And I thought the answer would be no, of course it doesn't, don't be stupid. But it does pop on there and yeah, maybe you could get it to work. It pops on there nicely. Obviously his head's going to be smaller than him holding the helmet. So yeah, maybe. I do personally think it's a little bit too small for this body, but it does pop on there. Maybe you could get it to work. Now, I know these two armors never actually met on screen, but I still wanted to see how War Machine compared to Iron Man. So here we have Colonel James Rhodes' War Machine compared to the Mark III. And if you're eagle-eyed, you will notice that Marvel Legends have never actually gave us a Colonel James Rhodes head sculpt. We've never got Don Cheadle with that digital face printing tech, unfortunately. So mine is a custom from RDJ Custom Creations, and I'm very happy with it because I love Rhodey, I love Don Cheadle, so I'm happy I have him in my display somewhere. But yeah, Hasbro, get on that! What's so fun about creating a Hall of Armor is you can actually fudge in some of the comic armors if you wanted to. So here we have the Marvel Legends 80th anniversary Alex Ross inspired Iron Man, and then here we have the Invincible Iron Man as well from All New, All Different. So yeah, 3 different generations of Iron Man there on the shelf, all still very much Iron Man. Someone on my Instagram asked to see him compared to Captain America, so here we have the Avengers 1 Captain America, and then we have the Endgame worthy cap, of course. And absolutely nobody asked me for this comparison, but I'm giving it you anyway. Here we have the Mark III armor compared to Hellfire Hank and Frogman. But much more interesting, now let's look at my Hall of Armor. Now, I promise to do a display video very soon, but what I want to show you is the top shelf, which is my Hall of Armor. So there we have Tony Stark in the middle, surrounded by some armor. We even have the Mark 44, aka the Hulkbuster, right there at the back. We got some newer figures there on the side, got some pods at the back with some of the older Iron Man figures, and then here we even have the couch, the Mark 1, a couple of the Gamerverse Iron Man figures, but again, they work in a Hall of Armor, so I definitely need to upgrade this now. I've had this since my old place, so since I've moved into my new house, I just kept it the same, but this is definitely ready for an upgrade. I can do with a second sort of tier of armor pods, but yeah, this is just foam. I am not a customizer as such, but this is something I'm very happy with, and it's been on my display for a while, and it just keeps getting better. So this is where I'll be adding my Mark III armor, but yeah, very curious to see how this sort of develops over time, but I love the opportunity to show it off when I can. So there you go, there is my Hall of Armor for my Marvel Legends movie figures. Let me know what you think. So, final thoughts. I hope you appreciate that little sneak peek behind the curtain of my display. I promise to do a whole collection video soon. Just make sure you stick around on the channel, hit that subscribe button. Today was, of course, all about the Iron Man Mark III armor from this Infinity Saga lineup. I cannot wait to get the rest of the sets in this lineup. Let me know in the comments below your most anticipated set out of this Infinity Saga lineup. Mine, I think, is going to be Obadiah Stane and the Ironmonger, especially after having this Mark III armor now to go alongside with them. But yeah, this Mark III, really good. This could quite possibly be the best Iron Man movie figure we have in Marvel Legends form. There, I said it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. The only thing missing is really probably a completely unhelmeted Iron Man head, but I like the faceplate up. Definitely an upgrade to anything we've previously had, and I actually prefer not having the peg holes in those interchangeable hands. I like that we have some sort of interchangeable parts on the wrist instead that are accurate to what we see in the film. So yeah, completely pinless. I like the colours. Articulation is great. Yeah, this is going to find a nice spot on my shelf for sure. Let me know what you think in the comments. But as always, if you like Marvel Legends, then trust me, people, you're in the right place. Check out the videos tabs. I'm live every single week on YouTube talking Marvel Legends. So check out the playlist. But most importantly, please, 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 hit that subscribe button. Much appreciated. You can now hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Either show some love or join the members club and join me on a live stream. And you can follow me on Instagram at It's Dan Who, at Twitter at Dan Who Reviews. And as always, my name is Dan W, and I will, of course, see you on the next one.